Hello and welcome to Rathods Science Academy. Today in this session, we are going to see current affairs of 2nd September 2024. So let's get started with our discussion. So before starting, actually you have to focus on two important things before reading this current affairs. So first important thing is your UPSC syllabus. So always follow your syllabus. So this syllabus is your guiding light in entire your preparation. So pick up the topics which are there in your syllabus and try to relate your syllabus with the newspaper so that you will be selecting a right article. Okay. And next important one is previous year's questions. So everyone knows that your current affairs will become a good part in your examination. So you can get questions in your prelims and also in your mains. So how the questions are asking from relevant topic or a particular topic in your examination, so that you can have the idea like how you have to mold your preparation. So based on that, you can change your strategies. Okay. So you have to focus on these two things. Okay. Now let us see the first article. See the title, guys. Two killed, 6 injured as a fresh violence erupts in Manipur. So again, violence erupted in Manipur. So actually it is not a new issue. So what was the reason behind this Manipur violence? So exactly where can you place in your syllabus? So this article is talking about Manipur violence. So from which subject point of view you can study this article? From GS paper 3, internal security, and from GS paper 2, society and social issues. And apart from that, even we can connect this article with our post-independent India from GS paper 1. So as you all know that Manipur got statehood after we got independence, right? So here you have to connect this topic with statehoods after independence. So this will be important. And even you have to see about special category status. So this special category status you will be studying in your GS paper 2 polity. So from these 4 subjects, so this article is relevant. And what are the dimensions you have to see? So first one is you have to see what is happening. You have to see first one is what is happening in Manipur, and second one is you have to see what is this dispute which is between which communities. So it is between Metis and Kukis. So Metis are valley people, they will live in valley, and Kukis they are hill tribes. And last one is you have to see what are the causes for this conflict. So it is not only the recent one that you have to see, but even you have to see the recent past. And next you have to see what are the measures can be taken to reduce this communal violence in this Manipur. And whenever you are writing any answer regarding communal violence, you have to give example of Manipur issue between Metis and Kukis. So this is an example of communal violence in our country. Okay, now let us see what is going on in this Manipur. So 2 individuals they were killed and at least 6 others they had injured. So in this injured people we have police, we have journalists and even civilians. So this shows that there is resurgence of violence again in Manipur. So attacks they done by using gunfire. Next one is drone dropped bombs, and it mainly occurred in one western district of Impal, and which is mainly affecting Meeti community. That means so these attacks are done by Kukis. So here if you see this drone dropped bombs, we can understand yes now the technology which they are using even in warfare. So even in internal security also you can understand what are the applications of these drones. Okay. So now let us see the key points that you have to get from this article. So first important thing is we can understand that once again there is escalation of violence. So return of violence in Manipur which says that there is a very fragile security situation. Security situation is not good, it is very fragile. and that is leading to the further clashes between these two communities, that is Metis and as well as Kukis. So first important point, we can understand that again there is resurgence of violence in this Manipur. And next one here is they are using drones, drone bombing. That means they had been updated with using of technology. So we can understand they are using technology in warfare. So the use of drones for bomb attacks, which indicates that there is shift in the tactics which mainly used by these communities. So whenever they are using technology, then it will be very difficult for law enforcement agencies and as well as security forces. So they will pose good and lot of challenges for these law enforcement agencies and as well as security forces. And not only here journalists and police are dying, but even civilians, they're also having lot of impact. So high number of injuries among civilians are also seen, especially women. So here whenever women are involving, so we can understand that, so there is a tragic consequence of political and ethnic conflicts on innocent lives. And this one is even media, they are vulnerable because journalists also had been died. So whenever they are going for covering of the scene which is going on, so because of this attack, so journalists, they are also having a threat. So that means we can understand that yes, press freedom and safety of this press is also undermined. Okay, so this is a key point. So we have to ensure press freedom and as well as safety of this journalist. And this one here is you can understand that there is community division. So you know that deep-seated divisions are happening in this Manipur. Especially we have Zo community, we have Kuki community, and we have Metis. So here we have to focus on especially peace building process between these communities. So whenever we are increasing peace, obviously these issues can be resolved. And if you see the historical context between this Metis and Kukis, so the resurgence of violence after a period of calm which evokes the memories of past conflicts. So we have to understand what are the reasons which are there in the history that led to these conflicts, and those reasons need to be addressed. Okay, and finally here we need immediate government action, and we need intervention of the government so that we can restore peace and as well as we can protect these vulnerable communities in this region. So these are the points that you have to remember, and I have to even explain about what are the reasons for this rise of insurgency in Manipur. So I am taking the history part even before we got independence. So what are the reasons are there because of this? Now the present communal violence is happening in this Manipur. So first one here is there is forced merger. So actually, this Manipur wants to be a separate country before became as a state of our India. So actually, here we came up with forced merger of Manipur with Union of India after we got independence. So at that time, they even demanded for full-fledged statehood. But when we got independence in year 1947, so after we got independence, so at that time, whenever this forced merger happened, so we didn't give the full-fledged statehood to Manipur, but it became full-fledged state after this 1972. So till then, from 1947 to 1972, there were lots of times we have violence in this Manipur. And next one here is rise of militancy, especially in later years, several militant outfits they were formed in this Manipur, especially PLA. PLA of China also have some impact in Manipur. And next one here is People's Revolutionary Party of Kangli Pak and Kangli Pak Communist Party and Kangle Yuvol Kanna Loop. So don't focus on these parties, but you can understand that. So there were several military outfits had formed in this Manipur. So especially these are valley-based outfits. That means they belongs to Metis. And these people, they started demanded for independent Manipur after 1947. And because of these groups, finally they got the full-fledged statehood. Okay, and next one here is there is spillover effect of Greater Nagaland demand. So do you know about this Greater Nagaland or Greater Nagaland? So actually, this is nothing but now people who are belonging to this Naga communities, they are not only present in Nagaland, but nearby states and even in Myanmar also, there are some Naga people, they are there. So now these Naga people, they are demanding that the parts where Naga people are living, they have to be made as a Greater Nagaland or Greater Nagaland. So because of this effect, it is also having threat on Manipur's territorial integrity. Why? Because these Nagas are also present in Manipur. So if they are becoming the part of this greater Nagaland, so this Manipur territorial integrity will be getting affected. So this is also one reason now the communal issue which is going on. And next one here is Valley Hills conflict. As you all know that we have Metis and we have Kukis. So these Metis here are present in Valley region and these Kukis here are present in hilly region, or they belongs to tribes. So actually if you see here, these hills, they contribute just 1/10 of Manipur's geographical area. And on these hills, the population will be comparatively less compared to that of valleys or plains. So here the state population is concentrated in valley compared to that of hills. So here who are present in this valley region? Metis. So Metis communities, they form majority in this valley while surrounding by very small areas of hills which are habited by these Nagas and as well as Kukis. So because of this majority and minority issue is also one of the important reasons for present violence in Manipur. And next one here is Naga-Kuki conflict which had been started in early 1990s. So here this type of clashes between two communities is called as ethnic clashes. So ethnic clashes between these Nagas and Kukis that led to formation of several Kuki insurgent groups. Okay, and now these Kuki insurgent groups, they are acting against this Metis. And next one is, if you see the recent context, why once again this kind of conflicts are erupted, because here recently Manipur High Court directed that we can give ST status, that is scheduled tribe status, to this Metis for 10 years. So here Kukis and Zos and other tribal people, they don't want to give this ST status to this Metis because they are already majority, and especially in politics also they are overrepresented than compared to other tribal groups in Manipur. So this is one important reason. And even recently in 2020, we came up with this delimitation process. So in this delimitation process also, here Metis community, they contested this census figures, and according to their population of Metis, they got good representation in the politics. But there is no proper data of other tribal peoples like Kukis and Zos. So there is underrepresentation of this Naga tribes, Kuki tribes, and Zo tribes in the political participation. So this is also one important issue now which is going on. And next one is, even if you know about the history of Myanmar, so in Myanmar now it is under military junta, right? It's under military control. So at that time many people, they crossed their boundary and they entered into India, and significant number of this Myanmar citizens, they are present in this northeastern part, especially in Manipur. So because of this, it is also altering the political landscape of Manipur. So these are some important reasons behind the present conflict between Metis and Kukis. Is that clear? Okay. Now let us see the next article. See this title. School is an uphill climb away for Dongria Khond tribal children in Odisha's Raigada. So the keyword here is Dongria Khond. So whenever you are getting tribes, especially if you are taking option of anthropology, you have to focus on tribal anthropology. So whatever the current affairs that you are getting from tribes, you have to make a note in your anthropology notes. So here this article is talking about Dongria tribes. Dongria Khond tribes. So what are the things that you have to see is in which state they belongs to, or they are present only in one state or any other state, and what is the status of that tribe, and you have to see literacy rate in that tribe, and as well as you have to see economy of that tribe, and you have to see whether that society is a patriarchal society or matriarchal society, or important features of that tribe. So these are very important from your anthro point of view. And from your GS, if you are not taking this anthropology as your optional, you have to focus on in which state this tribe is there, and you have to see like literacy or education rate, and even you have to see what are the problems of that so and so tribes. So this will be important from your GS. So from which subjects you will be dealing with that? From GS paper 1 geography, where in your economic geography you have to focus on economy of these tribes, and even you have to know about PVTGs, particularly vulnerable tribal groups, because in 2019 prelims you got directly question from this PVTGs. And from GS paper 1 and 2, from society and social issues, you will be seeing this topic because they comes under the part of our integral society. And even from your governance point of view also, we will be always talking about inclusive growth, inclusive policy making. So we have to even include these people for policy making so that we can achieve this goal of inclusive growth. So from all these points, this article is important. Okay, now let us see what is this article talking about. So here Dongria Khond children who are from Odisha, so they face significant barriers to access formal education. Why? Because these tribal people, they normally live in hilly regions or forest regions, especially those areas are very remote. They cannot be easily accessible. And if you take in case of PVTGs, they don't want to mingle with the mainstream society. So they don't want any cultural contact. They will not allow other people to enter into their habitats even. So here, because of this, they're also having lack of education, lack of literacy, lack of encouragement. So here already government is taking lot of steps to increase education, to increase literacy rate. Many schemes are coming up, especially in this tribal people also. So recently, government came up with this scheme called as PM Janman, which is related to PVTGs. Yes or no? Do you remember? Do you recall? So in that way, whenever government is coming up with any government initiatives, so especially this Dongria community literacy rate is low, and many children, if there is no education or if there is no schools, what the work will be done by the children? They will be involving in the household chores rather than going for the schooling. So if you see the key points which are highlighted in this article, that is there is lot of digital divide. So because of digital divide, there is also very less educational access. So actually these children who are belonging to this tribal people, they know about how to use the digital gadgets? No. So actually they don't know like how to use the mobile phones or how to use internet, because there is no access of internet in that remote areas itself. And even nowadays, if you go to government schools, we have digital panels, we have interactive panels. So they are also using computers. Computer lab classes will be there. But these people, they don't have technology to equate to educational literacy. So there are many gaps which are faced by these children who are belonging to this Gondria Kone community. And next one here is they're also having geographical barriers because they are living in a very remote areas. So they don't have proper transportation, proper infrastructure, so that these community people, they will be having education resources. So this is also second important problem which is highlighted in this article. And this one is even they're also having some safety concerns. So here if they want to go to school, so they have to cross dangerous treks. Like in hills, they will be having trekking areas, right? So they have to cross the dangerous treks, including sometimes they will be coming in contact with wildlife like tigers, lions, like tertiary consumers. And because of this, always there is a concern of safety of the children. So whenever there is no safety for the children, will the parents, they will allow them to go to schools? No. So here government need to focus on even safety and educational planning, and as well as government need to provide proper transportation solution for rural areas. So is any rural areas is having any bus facilities or transportation facilities for government schools? No. So government, especially at least in these tribal areas where there is no proper safety for the children, in that areas government need to focus on transportation solutions. So if you are becoming DM or collector, so if you have you're posting in any remote area, try to focus on these transportation facilities so that we can increase the gross enrollment ratio in these tribal people, and even we can increase the literacy rate in this people. Okay, focus on this after once you become DM. Okay, see here one more important problem which had been raised in this article here is, so if you see literacy rate in this Gondria Khon community, it is just 7.4%. That means even though government is coming up with lots of schemes, programs, then what is the use? The literacy rate is just 7.4%. Okay, so we can understand that there are significant insufficiencies. So we have to re-evaluate our schemes, and we have to increase the steps, or we have to take the steps so that we can address this community needs. And next important point here is why these parents, they are not sending their children to schools, because of deep rooted culture also. Okay, culture is also very important point, because of their cultural values, because of their emotional ties with the so and so nature. So they don't want to build, they don't want to send their children to the schools, so that actually communities, they want to build the trust and ensure that parents feel secure in their children's education journeys. So whenever parents, you're not having any trust that they're having the safety, obviously they will be not sending this children to the school. And next one is even this Dongria tribe also showing resistance to mining. So how can we ensure that that so and so region is developed? Like whenever we are coming up with any infrastructure developments or any mining, so if any government project is there, then only we can ensure proper transport, proper development, proper education. So these tribes, they are having a strong bond with their nature. So they don't want to allow any mining, any infrastructure development. So because of this, the education rate or literacy rate is very low in this tribes. And next one here is what is the required thing? So we need long-term interventions so that we can bring some significant progress in this community. So that will be helpful for meaning educational reforms. So whatever the educational reforms that we are coming up, like for example, NLIP. So recently we did that question also. And even government came up with this national education policy. If that policy is not reaching this remote area, so what is the aim of coming with those? So we that whatever the policies or program schemes that we are bringing up, so we need to make them that we have to ensure that they are reaching the remotest people who are needed with that. Okay. And see this title, India's Neighborhood Watch, Past and Present. So actually this article is talking about India and its neighborhood. So tell me the countries with which we are sharing boundary. Nepal, Pakistan, Bhutan, Myanmar, next, Afghanistan. So actually, what is the problem with our neighboring countries? Tell me. So here we have Pakistan, Afghanistan, China, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, Bangladesh, and here we have Sri Lanka. So tell me with which countries we are having good relations? No? Okay. So our enemy countries are Pakistan and China. Okay, on map we are having a boundary with Afghanistan, but practically we don't have that. So keep this aside. So with Nepal also we are having issues regarding boundary, that is Lipu Lake, Limpiadura and Kalapani region. And with Bhutan, so Bhutan it is nowadays going towards China, and Myanmar it is under military junta. And Bangladesh, recently what happened? There is no proper stable government now, so we don't know like which party it is going to come into power soon. And Sri Lanka, it is also towards China, that is pro-China. And even if you see here, we have Maldives. So recently, because of changing of government of Maldives, it is also now pro-China. So if you see with these countries, so before 2010, okay, so before 2010, how many of you have habit of reading newspaper? No, okay. So before 2010, if you see the role of India, India played a very good role in Bangladesh, in Sri Lanka, in Nepal, in Bhutan. So wherever you see with the boundary countries of India, so we had very good relations, except this Pakistan and China. So those two are exception, but with other countries we used to have very good relations. But what happened in this after 2020? So geopolitics had been changed. Okay, so what happens after 2020? Do you have any idea? Huh? Okay, COVID-19. Apart from this COVID-19, huh? Okay, so after this 2020, so India's role in this neighborhood had been reduced because of inclusion and excursion of this China. So China wants to involve in each and every country. So what is the policy came up with this China? Belt and Road Initiative. So with Belt and Road Initiative, and as well as second important concept is String of pearls. Because of string of pearls and because of BRI, so China wants to increase its expansionist policy in each and every country, either it may be maritime domain or whether it may be the continental domain. So here China is coming up with the CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which is going through Pakistan, and it is developing this Gwadar port. So regarding this Gwadar port, we had discussion I think recently. And to counter this, India is developing Chabahar port in Iran. And in Bangladesh also, it had developed its port, and even Myanmar also in Sri Lanka, that is called as Chittagong port. Okay, so sorry, Sri Lanka we have Hambantota port, in Bangladesh we have Chittagong port. So in this way here, because of incursion of China in these countries, the policies of India had been altered with other countries. So here, now this article is talking about only Bangladesh and as well as Sri Lanka. So as you all know that Sri Lanka, because of development of Hambantota port, because of inflation, because of organic agriculture policies, now it is facing debt crisis. And recently Sri Lanka also approached IMF. What is this IMF? International Monetary Fund. And whenever this Sri Lanka approached this IMF to get help, so why this IMF will be helping? Whenever there is BOP. What is this BOP? Yes, whenever there is balance of payment crisis, whenever any country which goes to IMF, IMF will be helping that countries. So even recently Pakistan and Sri Lanka, they went to IMF. So for Sri Lanka, India supported. India even asked IMF to give loans to Sri Lanka, but India didn't supported Pakistan to get funds in IMF. Okay, so this is the thing which happened in the recent past. Now, actually, author he focused on only two important things. It is about Sri Lanka and as well as Bangladesh in this article. So, if you see this author, he is reflecting that India's evolving role in its neighborhood from 2008 to 2010. So, at that time, we used to have positive influences in democracy in Bangladesh, in Sri Lanka, Maldives, and Myanmar. But actually, if you see that by the time of 2024, after 2020, there were a lot of changes that had been taken in our foreign policy. So actually the condition of India had been deteriorated by 2024, especially in Bangladesh, especially Sri Lanka. So Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, they are facing political turmoil. So what happened in this Bangladesh in the recent past? So Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, yes, fled from the country, and next, now interim government had been formed under the leader of military of Bangladesh, and even what was the mistake made by India? Only India had relations with this Sheikh Hasina Awami League party. So what is opposition party in Bangladesh? Yes, Bangladesh National Party, which is led by Khaleda Zia, but we don't have proper relations with the opposition parties in Bangladesh. So this is one of the mistake which is made by India, because we don't know like which government will comes into power, which party will comes into power. Obviously, it will be Bangladesh Nationalistic Party, because after once this Sheikh Hasina fled from the country, the next day she came from jail. So she has been released from the jail. Okay, so we don't know like how we are going to have our foreign policy with Bangladesh now. So here this article is saying that India played a catalytic role. So India's involvement in region, which has historically very important for democratic transition, so that we can understand that there is an importance of sustained diplomatic efforts in neighboring countries. So whatever the condition may be, so India used to have like good relations with both the ruling party and as well as the party which are in opposition party. So this is the mistake which had been done by India, and we need to have proper diplomatic efforts with the neighboring countries, because we can decide who are our friends, but we can't decide our neighbors. So always we have to be very much good with the neighboring countries, so that we can ensure territorial integrity and as well as safety and security of our citizens. And next one here is, if you see the Bangladesh democratic setback, so the collapse of this Hasina's government, which mainly reveals about fragility of democratic institutions. So here this lesson that will taught India that we should even support other political parties. So we have to maintain political resilience in the other countries. And if you see about the Sri Lanka crisis and response, the timely aid. So India is giving aid to Sri Lanka during its crisis. So why? Because India wants to make proper regional stability, and even it is very important for our economic support. And next one is we can understand that there is shift in our political dynamics. So recent political upheavals which reveals that it is it is like we have to come up with a favorable environment. So whenever you are having the favorable environment with the neighboring countries, so it will be very helpful for engaging with more diverse political factions in other countries. And even we have to focus on the balanced support of allies and as well as opposition parties, so that we can guard our governance. And if you see the China's influence, so China is coming up with expansionist policy where it wants to expand its continental region and as well as maritime region. So it is coming up with this increasing of diplomacy and also development initiatives, so that the countries will be get influenced by China. Okay, so that is a thing which is mainly done by China by this BRI and as well as string of pearls. That is the thing that you have to remember. That's it. And say this article, a crisis in WANA that no one talks about. What is this WANA? WA, West Asia, North Africa. So what is this West Asia and North Africa? Open your atlas and see. So where is West Asia part is located and where is this North Asia part? West Asia and North Africa. So actually this article is talking about Sudan. So where is the Sudan located? Sudan, Africa. So what is happening in Sudan? Health issues. Apart from that, there is no political stability in this Sudan. Apart from that, so one thing I want to say is whenever you are covering international relations, you have to see most unstable regions. Okay, for example, Israel, Palestine, Russia, Ukraine. And apart from this, in Africa also, we have some areas between this Sudan and as well as Congo. And next important region is Armenia and Azerbaijan. So always political conflict will happen. You have to search in that year where the political issues are happening. Okay, so in that areas you can get question like, so why they are in news? Or else they may ask, like in which of the following countries there is political instability in the recent past. So in that way you have to understand how UPSC is asking questions in your prelims. So every year you will be getting at least one or two questions in your prelims from international relations from these countries which are in news where there is political instability or any conflict or any violence which is happening. Okay, so here this article said that in 2023, Sudan has transformed from a non-holds-barred conflict to the world's worst humanitarian crisis. So now, especially in 2024, Sudan, which is one of the world's most humanitarian crisis country, even it is surpassing Gaza. So if you see here, so normally in our news or newspapers, we will be seeing issues between Russia and Ukraine and as well as Israel and Palestine, but nowhere we had seen this Sudan. So it had been a minor. But if you see the scale, when you're comparing with Israel-Palestine issue and Sudan issue, Sudan is the world's worst humanitarian crisis it is facing in year 2024. But it had not been much highlighted in our newspaper. So here this article is saying that there is worst humanitarian crisis in Sudan. It is staggering. It is increasing day by day when we are comparing with other global conflict. So because of this, we can understand that now Sudan, which is in a dire need of international attention. So different countries need to focus on this Sudan now. So they have to provide humanitarian aid and even they need proper support. And especially if you see there is legacy of instability they are facing in Sudan. So you have to see in which countries military coup happened. Okay. So because the Sudan which has a history of coups and civil war, which mainly reveals a pattern of instability, because of it hampers governance and development. So why these African countries are less developed, they're underdeveloped? The one important reason here is because of climate change, and this one is they are only exporting the raw materials, they are not focusing on the final goods. And this one is there are many countries which are facing drought, famines. And next one here is because of political instability, always there will be coups. Okay, so these are the important reasons for this underdevelopedness of these African countries. And even there are ethnic issues as well. So ethnic dimensions of the conflict which complicates alliances as historical grievances, they shape the current alliances and hostility. So always there will be ethnic tension. So the need here is we have to come up with a peace process between these groups. As of now, in our country, we are facing Manipur issues in the same way, especially African countries are dominated by these tribal people, right? So you have to understand why there is issues between the tribes, and we have to come up with a peace process for that tribes. And here you have to know about what is this WANA. WANA stands for West Asia, North Africa. So actually what is the problem with this WANA is there is very high population growth in this region, and there is low and very less or erratic rainfall, and there is very limited arable land, and especially there is limited water resources in this region. So actually this region which contains around 27 countries with around 600 million inhabitants with Morocco in the west. So if you see the geographical dimensions or like geographical, if you see here this region which is bordered by Morocco in the west, Pakistan, Afghanistan in east, and Turkey in north, and Ethiopia and Sudan in the south. So these are the geographical limitations of this NAWA. Okay. So here, if you see this region which has been conflict from since the collapse of Ottoman Empire. So you will be knowing about this Ottoman Empire in your world history, because especially once upon a time this area was under this Ottoman Empire. So whenever the fall of this Ottoman Empire and the rise of the new kingdoms which had happened, so at that time, so this was the important thing that you have to remember. So because of this Ottoman Empire collapse, that led to the creation of Israel and even other countries, that led to rise of conflict in this region. And next, if you see some important areas that you have to focus in this region is Israel-Palestine conflict. You can see Iran-Saudi Arabia proxy conflict. And next one is US intervention of Iraq in 2003 and rise of IS. IS is nothing but Islamic State, and Arab Spring and civil wars and Syrian civil war, Libyan civil war, Iran civil war, Yemeni civil war. Okay, so these are the issues that mainly seen in this region. All these things that you will be studying in your international relations. So after once your economy is done, you will be starting with international relations. There you will be reading about all these things clearly. Okay, then you will be getting some idea like what is happening in the world. And see this article, or lie detector test legally valid. So in which case recently we went for this polygraph test or lie detector test. Yes, Kolkata case. So lie detector test is also called as polygraph test. So whenever you are reading science and technology, so we can connect this topic with science and technology there, and there is a chance of getting a question regarding this lie detector in your prelims. So recently on August 26, CBI conducted a second round of polygraph test on 7 people who are in connection with the rape and murder of resident doctor in Arjikar Medical College. So you know about this context. And actually, if you see the background of this lie detector test, so when we understood about this polygraph test, so polygraph test is nothing but, so they will give you some relaxants into your body, and after that medicine is working, then what happens? So your body is connected with some medical device, so which will be identifying your heart rate, your skin transmission, and as well as your pulse rate, etc. So and they will start asking questions on rapid fire. So whenever they're asking questions, so if you're answering any question, so how your heartbeat is there. So always there is one thing in medical field is like, so if you're talking lies, your heartbeat will be increased, your pulse rate will be increased. So based on that, they will be identifying for that question if you are giving an answer which is right or which is false. So that is called as simply lie detector test or polygraph test. So if you see the background of this lie detector test, in 2010, a paper was published in our Indian Journal of Medical Research. So this study which had been done by one psychiatric expert, and he observed that in this lie detection techniques, they have faced a number of criticism, and actually there is no proper effectiveness in this lie detector test. So this is a thing which mainly said in the 2010 itself, but even though we are using this lie detector test in this extreme crimes. And even in this Supreme Court in 2010, in the famous case of Selvi versus State of Karnataka, Supreme Court said that no lie detector test should be administered except on the basis of consent of accused. So whenever the person who is giving consent, then only we have to conduct this lie detector test. Okay, because it is affecting the fundamental right, that is self-incrimination, which is given in Article 20, subclass 3 of Constitution. So whenever if you are writing an answer regarding lie detector test or polygraph test, you have to write introduction about the Selvi versus State of Karnataka 2010 case. Supreme Court said that. So here this lie detector test can be done only whenever the consent is given by so and so accused, because it is violating fundamental right, Article 20 subclass 3 of our Indian Constitution. So here you have to focus on this Selvi versus State of Karnataka 2010 and what is this case said and what is this article. Okay, so these three are very important. And see other articles. Reforming the process of judicial appointments. So how the judiciary appointments will be done, for example, judges of high courts or Supreme Court, we have a system called as collegium system. Okay, we had a system called as collegium system. So apart from this collegium system, we have NJAC Act, National Judicial Appointment Commission. So actually this National Judicial Appointment Commission and even collegium system, they are not present in our constitution, but we are following these methods. So earlier, 99th Constitution Amendment Act added this NGAC Act to our constitution, but later on, Supreme Court said that it is null and void. It is not according to our constitution. And again, we came back to this collegium system. So here you have to know about what is this collegium system. So who are the members in this collegium system? What are the challenges with this collegium system? And you have to see like what are the measures can be taken to improve the efficiency of this collegium system. And here again, you have to see what is NJAC system. So why our government came up with this amendment and introduced this NJAC system into our constitution. And you have to see why Supreme Court said it is null and void. So actually now this article is saying that many other countries are also having this kind of appointment commissions. So why we can't rethink about this NJC system? So this is an article. This is there in this article. Actually, if I want to explain this, it will take more than 45 minutes. So I will be taking a separate class on what is collegium system, what is NJC, what is this act is about. Everything I will be taking as a separate class. So even in your judiciary, especially in Supreme Court, sir will be discussing about this. Okay. Okay, so as of now, we have to remember in judicial system, we have this collegium system, which is appointing the judges of Supreme Court and High Court. And after that, we came with this NJ system as 99th Constitutional Amendment Act, but it had been stuck down with Supreme Court. And again, we came back to this collegium system. And actually, there are some challenges and disadvantages of this collegium system. So because of this, now author is saying that why we can't move back to this NJ system again. So what are the loopholes are there in NJ system? So we can overcome that so that we can follow that, because even other countries are also following this kind of appointments commissions. And next topic it is ensure LGBTQIA plus couples get ration cards, say center. So whether it is a good move or bad move. So now even LGBTQIA people, they will be getting ration cards because they're also part of our society, and these people, they don't have proper employment, and even they are most vulnerable people in our society. Apart from women and children, they're also like vulnerable people. So government, if it is taking this kind of steps, we can say that is a positive move, so that it will be helpful for the empowerment of these people. And see this article, net GST receipts growth slips to 6.5% in August. So GST is going on for you people, right? So what is this GST? Goods and service tax. Whether it is a direct tax or indirect tax? Indirect tax. So how this GST had been passed? Either a money bill or a financial bill? As a money bill. Okay. So here you have to know about differences between money bill and finance bill. In finance bill, we have two types, finance bill A and finance bill B. So I think sir will be dealing with that in today's class. And see this article, relations between India, Pakistan unlikely to become better, find survey. So even I think day before yesterday we discussed one article like even this SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, Pakistan invited India, right? So here there are many studies are saying that India, Pakistan and Bangladesh, between these countries the relation is increasing, especially 48% of Indians and 31% of Pakistanis, 32% of Bangladesh. So they are in favor of reversal and condition created by partition. So when this partition happened in year 1947, before we got independence, the first one is partition, so which had been proposed by Mountbatten Plan. So after that, because of partition, India and Pakistan had been divided, right? So again, actually about 48% of Indians, 31% of Pakistanis and 32% of Bangladeshis, they want to go back towards before partition conditions. So this is the thing which mainly said, and I will be sharing you this notes of this in our group. Okay, so these are the important topics that appeared in our today's Hindu newspaper. So by this I'm concluding. Thank you so much guys for attending this class. And if you like this class, hit the like button and please do share this class to your friends. And do subscribe to Rathods IS Academy. Thank you.